At 171 pounds, the championship bout, Brian Stout from Southern Regional, the junior, 30 wins, 2 losses on the year, up against Rob Johnson, the defending state champion from Jackson, a senior, 28-0. Johnson slowly makes his way to the center of the mat. He's in the red uniform with the black trim. Brian Stout, the wrestler from Southern Regional, he's in the black uniform with the gold and white trim. They have wrestled this year. Brian Stout has only lost twice this season. One of his losses to Rob Johnson from Jackson. Johnson, last year, state champion at 160, defeated Bob Waldron of Roxbury, won it in overtime. His teammate Scott Goodell also made the state final last year, losing at 145.
Waldron was a tremendous competitor to defeat for Johnson a year ago. Stout is again today. 2 great wrestlers out here at 171. Their records certainly speak for themselves.
Stout, a junior, a transfer from Lacey High School. His head coach, Jerry Tappuccino, got a phone call from Brian's dad about a day before practice and said, Brian, you know, he goes now to Southern Regional and he'd like to wrestle for your team. Jerry Tappuccino said it was his happiest Thanksgiving he's ever had.
Why did I always have kids like that transfer out of my school system, Steve, to somebody else's?
1:04 to go, first period, and Johnson looks for the first 2 points of the bout.
And they're rather dramatic 2 points. Not only does he get the 2, but he almost puts Stout onto his back. Stout quickly getting onto his stomach.
So Johnson takes the quick 2-0 lead. 47 seconds to go. We're at 171 pounds. Rob Johnson, what an interesting story. This year, first 3 weeks of the wrestling season, where was he? Didn't even go out for the wrestling team. Head coach Al Ayers talked him into it, came back out, and look what happened. He's in the state final again.
Steve, his love is soccer. We've seen so many athletes out here that have a soccer background. Probably equal to that are the kids that have run cross country like the McCanns and others. Tremendous sports that feed into the wrestling season. Good control, good ability to build up one's wind, and ability, again, to control the weight for both of those sports. Johnson's love is soccer. He'd probably rather be there now than right here. Yet, he's an athlete, and he's a competitor. And when he's out here, he gives the full 100% that's desired. He's probably going to be glad when this season is done and he's kicking the soccer ball again, but that will never take anything away from what he's doing on a mat.
8 seconds to go in the first period, and Johnson leading 2-0 over Brian Stout. Stout from Southern Regional. Johnson told me earlier today, can't wait for this match to end. Why? Because he doesn't have to wrestle anymore.
There is something about Johnson. All of us as coaches that watch him have a tremendous envy of him as a wrestler. He does things naturally. He does things fully. He makes moves that normal, good wrestlers don't make. If he loved wrestling, I wonder how much tougher he could be.
Start of the second period. Rob Johnson from Jackson in the red uniform with the black trim. He's on top. Brian Stout in the maroon uniform with the gold and white trim. He's on the bottom, being thrown out of bounds. He trails 2-0 to Rob Johnson. You mentioned Johnson and soccer. An All-American soccer player, 2-time All-State. Spark Jackson to the state Group 4 soccer title, and he'll play soccer in college at Rutgers.
And will not wrestle unless that coach, again, has the same effect that his present coach did in being able to convince him to come out.
1:42 to go now, second period. Johnson holding on to the 2-0 lead. He was a wrestler who was easily spotted among the crowd here at Jadwin Gym throughout the week, always in his Chicago Bulls attire. The Chicago Bulls boxer shorts, the jacket, the hat. The big fan of Michael Jordan said he probably would be rather playing basketball. And at 5'10", yes indeed, Rob Johnson can dunk a basketball. 102 career wins for Rob Johnson. He has won 61 straight matches. 16 seconds to go, second period. Johnson holding on to a 2-0 lead, looking for his second consecutive state championship.
And unless Brian Stout can reach down deeper and come up with something a little special in that last 2 minutes, he's going to have that second championship. Armbar, great pressure, good second period for Johnson.
Final period of action at 171 pounds. Rob Johnson against Brian Stout.
No way that I can see Stout holding Johnson down for 2 minutes and putting him onto his back. That doesn't mean he can't do it. One of the many times I'd be wrong, but Johnson's ability, Johnson's talent, he'll come out of that bottom, then it's going to come down to whether it's a reversal or that 1 point neutral. Stout hanging on top.
Johnson was a district champion. Jackson won their 5th straight District 25 title. Johnson also won the regions, capped a 3-pin tournament with a fall in 242 over Eric Silva of Camden Catholic. Stout, the wrestler on top. Johnson looking to break free. 1:35 to go in the bout.
Johnson coming up with much more conviction this second time, getting the whizzer in. He's out into a neutral position. Points awarded.
So Johnson increases his lead to 3 points over Brian Stout. Last year when Rob Johnson won the state championship, calmly, he walked over to his head coach Al Ayers, shook his hand. Al Ayers said, "Congratulations." Rob Johnson said, "Thank you." So keep an eye on Johnson if he's able to hold on with 1 minute to go.
Not only hold on for the match, but holds on to Stout's leg. Takes him to the mat, gets 2 more points, and that's his championship, folks. 5-0 lead, less than a minute to wrestle.
We've told you about certain wrestlers who have been doing it since the 1st grade. Rob Johnson does it as a hobby, but he does it oh so well. And in 36 seconds, he's on his way to his 2nd consecutive state championship. This was Rob Johnson's 4th trip to the States. 3 region titles, 3 district titles. His sophomore brother, Tyrone, won at 189 pounds in the regions. Tyrone also qualifying for the state tournament. In the stands now, watching his brother Rob Johnson, and Johnson looks to be on his way.
Here he is with just 25 seconds standing between himself and the 2nd state championship.
17 seconds to go. Johnson just in complete control right throughout.
Stout is such a good wrestler. Beat such fine people to get where he is, except the difference level that we see in a Johnson.
Well, tomorrow is Sunday. That's usually the day that Rob Johnson plays soccer. But on Saturday at the state championships in Princeton, he wins it all at 170. Perhaps the state's best athlete. Patrick Lynch of Ocean City is